Christmas is a time of anticipation. Have you noticed that there have been things surrounding you that have pointed to and caused you to anticipate what will happen tomorrow? It's been months, and there's decorations up. You were at Costco in September, and they had Christmas decorations for sale. Leading up to Christmas is a variety of things that build anticipation. If you've been around children recently, you will have heard them declare and tell you Christmas is coming. Maybe there are gifts under a tree. Maybe you do this weird thing, like putting a tree inside of your house. We decorate, we build anticipation for the day to come. Christmas is a time of anticipation. Many things in life build anticipation. Maybe you can think of a wedding day where you prepare to get married and you anticipate the day. Or you can think of a pregnancy where father and mother anticipate the arrival of the child. When those anticipations live up to expectations, when the event lives up to the expectation, it brings great joy. The story of Christmas, the real events, are the greatest story of anticipation in all of history. It was not just a moment in roughly AD 0 where angels showed up and told some shepherds, and there was Mary who was pregnant. But the story of Christmas is a story of anticipation that spans millennia. And it brought great joy. If you're unfamiliar with the Christmas story, if you don't know all the things that build up to it, that's quite understandable because, let's be honest, the Christmas stories we hear often don't tell us everything that led up to the event. Started thousands and thousands and thousands of years before when the first couple, Adam and Eve, decided not to listen to what God said. They decided to listen to someone else. And their act of disobedience caused separation between them and God and hardship in life. Work would become toil. Child-rearing and pregnancy and birth would bring great pain. And the closest relationship that you were intended to have between a husband and a wife would start to have strife in it. Have you experienced these things? Any of you ever toiled over your work? Or have you, every day you've gone to your job, said, yippee? Or as Suzanne so put it, that the angel said, dude, let's go! Work became toil, birth became laborious, and relationships became strained. But in the midst of that consequence, God also promised one who would come. He promised a son that would come and make all the wrong things right and the dark things light. He would be a king that would rule. Time goes on, and centuries pass, and God visits an old man and an old woman and promises to them that they will have a new place to live and they will be blessed, and through them being blessed, God will bless the earth. They are promised to have descendants that number the stars in the sky, and yet they are in old age and they have no child. Years, decades really, go by and the child has not arrived, and they go on hoping and praying. God eventually makes good on his promise and gives them a son named Isaac. Isaac has a son whose name is Jacob, and Jacob has 12 sons. And those 12 sons would represent the tribes of Israel. And on his deathbed, Jacob blesses each of his boys. And one of the boys, Judah, he speaks a blessing that God uses to prophesy of what would come in the future. That of Judah's line there would become a king who would rule with a scepter. The 12 boys find themselves in Egypt with their kids and their family, and they are not rulers. They become quite the opposite, in fact, and God delivers them. Centuries go by, and eventually a kingdom does indeed form from this group, from this family. The 12 boys, their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids multiply into the millions, and they go and take the land that God had promised them. Eventually, the kingdom does rise. So hope is coming. The king who will make all the wrong things right and the dark things light. Is he on the way? Is he almost here? Doesn't start with a king from Judah, though. It starts with a king from another tribe. Eventually, one of Judah's great-great-great-great-grandsons becomes king. Is the king who will make the wrong things right and the dark things light. Is he here? No. He sins. His son, who they have great hope in, he sins. His grandson, he sins. And perpetually, year after year, ruler after ruler, proved to be generally not of the best character. Is the hope fading for the king that will make the wrong things right and the dark things light? It might be. In the midst of this, God sends individuals who are called prophets who will declare his message and warn the people of the consequences of ongoing, perpetual disobedience to what God has said. He warns them, if you do not listen, I'm going to take you out of the beautiful land. I will remove you from this place which I gave to your father Abraham until you learn your lesson. Their hope for the king who will make the wrong things right and the dark things light is fading. In the midst of those prophetic messages, God also promises that he will indeed send the king. He will send the king that will make the wrong things right and the dark things light. And then as if he hangs up the phone, he goes quiet for 400 years. It is utter silence from the God of the universe to his people. And that's when God breaks back in. 400 years of silence, and we come upon the Christmas story. 400 years of silence, of questioning and wondering, where is this king who will make the wrong things right and the dark things light? God, will you answer? God comes to another old man and another old woman, Zechariah and Elizabeth, and promises to them that they will have a son. And Zechariah, as if he hasn't read his Old Testament, if he hasn't read his Bible, says, well, how's that going to happen? Did you read about Abraham? Zechariah, have you been paying attention? The angel comes to him and says, you, your wife, will have a son. He's not going to be that king, but he's going to be the one to prepare the way for the king who will make the wrong things right and the dark things light. Not long after that, the angel appears to Mary, which we heard. The angel declares to Mary that she, being a virgin, will give birth to a son, fulfilling the prophecy from Isaiah. In the town of Bethlehem, fulfilling another prophecy. It was finally happening. The king who was to arrive was on his way. He would make the wrong things right and the dark things light. He was coming. Imagine the anticipation that Mary and Joseph and Zechariah and Elizabeth and everyone else that knew them and knew of her ill-fated pregnancy, being an unmarried woman pregnant. Imagine the anticipation that would build with them hearing the words from the angel, this is the one to come. He is the one to make the wrong things right and the dark things light. The angel goes and tells the shepherds. The shepherds arrive and see Jesus just as they were told, and they marvel at it. The fulfillment of anticipation led to their joy. But it wasn't just for them that experienced anticipation. There was another old man named Simeon who had been waiting for the arrival of the king who would make all the wrong things right and the dark things light. He'd been told by the Holy Spirit that you won't die until you see the king. He's getting up in his old age. He's wondering, pondering, but he's trusting none the less. He is waiting for the king that would fulfill these words in Isaiah 9, 6, and 7. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end. On the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. Simeon was waiting anxiously for this child. And hear what it says about him and his encounter, his fulfillment of anticipation. He, Simeon, was a righteous and devout man, waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him, and it had been revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he would not see death before he had seen the Lord's Christ. And he came in the Spirit into the temple, and when the parents brought in the child Jesus to do for him according to the custom of the law, he took him up in his arms and blessed God and said, Lord, now you are letting your servant depart in peace. According to your word, for my eyes have seen your salvation, that you have prepared in the presence of all peoples a light for revelation to the Gentiles, for the glory to your people, Israel. Do you sense his joy? Do you sense his anticipation fulfilled? Imagine his heart. Imagine his emotions. when he held that little boy in his arms for the first time. Seeing and knowing that he saw the King who would make all the wrong things right and the dark things light. The King had arrived. The story of Christmas builds anticipation over millennia. It built anticipation for Mary and Joseph, and Elizabeth and Zechariah, and Simeon and Anna, a prophetess, in the temple at the same time. And the shepherds. The anticipation was fulfilled for them and brought great joy. And it brings us great joy too, because the King has arrived. The one who would make all the wrong things right and the dark things light arrived on the scene. He solved the greatest problem of all, our sin. Matthew tells us that Joseph was told that they would call him Jesus, for he would save the people from their sin. He would solve humanity's greatest problem, their sin. He would make all the wrongest things right and the darkest things light in any who would trust in him. They would celebrate the one who would do this. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light, and those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them has light shone. Jesus brought light. Jesus, the King who would make all the wrong things right and the dark things light, was on the scene. He was and is the child who was born, the Son that was given, and he is the wonderful Counselor. He is mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end. And on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from that time forth and forevermore. Friends, tonight and tomorrow, we have the opportunity to celebrate with great joy the arrival of the King who made all the wrong things right and the dark things light. It's because of his arrival that you can be filled with incredible joy as you draw near to him. Will you come to him this Christmas time?